It's time for Respect the Process, a short chat about commercial filmmaking. Here's your host, director Jordan Brady.
Well, thank you, Helen. It is late night, the 30th of July. I'm out in my little trailer in the backyard here recording. I snuck a Mexican Coke to celebrate that I'm finally giving you people the episode you deserve. PJ Koll is on the show. PJ is the founder of Where the Buffalo Roam. It's a production company. He's a veteran producer, and he's helping reshape production teams to work smarter with faster tools. And we're talking about Timmy.io. And it's how you streamline your workflows, you save time. It's not like we're pimping it hard, but I do investigate Timmy.io. If I read from their website, one platform for keeping any production in line. Dynamic, intuitive, adaptive software tools developed for producers by producers. This is Timmy, the production OS. And it looks pretty keen. I'll put a link at jordanbrady.com, but I think you're listening. You're saying, Jordan, why don't I just go to Timmy.io? So I think you're going to love it. I really enjoyed chatting. Real quick, 3 spots left for the Filmmaker Retreat. Posh Duo just got the second batch in from the lab. And I'll tell you something special we got on with Posh Duo for the Christmas holiday television advertising season. But I'll just leave it at that. Helen, I'm not even going to ramble. Let's get to PJ. Where'd you get the Howler hat?
I picked this one up. I usually buy them online, but I picked it up at Howler in Austin during South by.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And
they're great.
Where are you zooming in from now?
I'm zooming in from Ojai, California.
Isn't that great? Isn't that a wonderful, magical place?
It's pretty excellent. Yeah, no complaints. Yeah.
Do you live there?
I don't. No, just visiting friends here.
Okay, well, we'll try not to keep you.
No worries. No, all good. Working on the road, basically. That's how we do it.
I think so. I've been telling my wife, and for the listeners, I'm of a senior vintage, and I love this whole digital era. And I'm in awe of, I have a treatment writer in Paris, young fella. I got a young woman in Santiago, Chile.
Right. Yeah.
And another guy, he doesn't work in our industry, but he's like a designer who went to Vietnam for 6 months. And I was like, I shoot in LA so infrequently, like a handful of times a year, that get an Airbnb.
Right, exactly.
See some friends. Like, why not live in Kuala Lumpur or Ojai?
Yeah, for sure. You can do it from anywhere. I mean, we learned it through COVID. We're like, we just do this wherever.
And mount up. And for years, you've been in production a minute.
A little bit.
The Hotel Roadshow is just as efficient as the swanky Santa Monica office pre-pro and fitting.
I mean, our production company, we kind of were born out of this production company, Where the Buffalo Roam, and we had an office in LA, and then during COVID, we were like, well, we'll just close that down, and it's just easier for everybody. I mean, some people are in Santa Monica, some people are in Silver Lake. Rather than spending 2 hours a day traveling to an office, why are we doing that?
For the uninitiated, the distance between Santa Monica and Silver Lake is literally like Kansas City to Miami. There's a time zone change. Yeah. You need a passport.
Totally. It's a lot.
So what I want to ask you about, and I think the reason that you want to come on a podcast, is to talk about Timmy.io, which is this wonderful suite of production efficiency programs. It's like Jarvis for production, right?
Right. Yeah.
Made out of the brains of people that have been in the trenches. And when I do a little digging on PJ,
Yeah.
I get client side, agency side, post, production. So this could be your masterpiece here.
Yeah, right. I guess so. I mean, what it really was born out of was us trying to find solutions to solve our problems, right? Like we as producers are thrown into the deep end, and rarely are you even given any training. They're just kind of like, all right, just get in there and sort it out. And producers are really good at that. And so you cobble a bunch of things together to operate or, and function in a production. And, every production is bespoke, right? Like it's full of its own set of problems. So you're like, okay, great. And along the way, you learn from other producers of how to best do it. And some companies do have some process and some procedures, Some companies feel as if process and procedure is kind of the death nail of creativity, but we kind of feel like it opens you up for all of the creativity and gives you all the opportunities for that, or the time in order to figure those out. Yeah, right. And so what we've created isn't that much of a difference between the way that we've done it before. We've just have figured out how to programmatically kind of help to manage that and centralize it. So, I mean, before we were using, whether it's, Sheets or Excel for us older folks.
Right.
And
Hot Budget is still based in
Excel. Yeah,
which is almost like, let me fax over the lunch menu.
Right. Right. And Hot Budget is great. We love it. I mean, it is, whatever you pay for it a year. And then, they give you the latest and greatest version with all the macros that are built inside of it. But, again, it kind of lives on an island by itself. I've now created this document, and does it communicate with accounting? Does it communicate with resourcing? Does it communicate with, my set of users or crew? Does it communicate with Wrapbook or whatever payroll system you're using? It doesn't do anything. It just lives by itself. And that's all well and good and great. And then there's like versioning control and sharing that information and everybody having access to it. It also just lives on my computer typically. Maybe it sits inside of a drive somewhere where everybody has access to it. But as soon as I make an edit to it, it's now out of date. Whatever I've done is now different than what is out there in the world. And so, those things are kind of problematic, especially when you've got, a crew of people. If you have a larger crew, right, where you have an executive producer, a line producer, and coordinators and PAs, you have a lot of people touching head of production. Do they really understand what's kind of happening here? So, yeah, it's now kind of living on that line producer's desktop, and whatever has happened in that particular production that has required them to change it is now they're the only ones who know what's really happening. So
that's a big chunk. I'm just processing. There's so many great things you said. I like that you said, well, you questioned, did it connect to Wrapbook? Because that's one of the few areas that I'm involved in as the guy who funds the click.
Right.
For the listener, I'm making a clicking motion with my finger, funding a large payroll from a bank account.
Right. Yeah.
But that, anything that's connected to Wrapbook and can, what do they call it when they migrate people and prices and hours and everything, that's just such a, I can't even imagine doing that manually anymore.
And it's happening. I mean, yeah, same with the PO log and expenses. You're doing that all kind of manually, which is, you could be doing something else. You could be looking for a new location. You could be finding a better DP. You could be
in a hammock.
Yeah, you could be in a hammock. You could be
hammock in Ojai.
Exactly.
Under the mango tree.
You're right. Absolutely.
Is Timmy? First of all, I love the name too.
Thank you. Yeah.
How did that come about?
Yeah, so it was originally called Rangeworks, and
I shudder at Rangeworks.
I know. Yeah, exactly. And then we had created an instance of Timmy, and we named it after my partner Tim Priest. And so it was to make him uncomfortable, and then we kind of just fell in love with it. We liked that had a personality, that it wasn't like Asana or Atlassian or some other something that could potentially be a pharma type of product.
EssentialWorks.
we wanted it to have a bit of a personality. And we really liked saying, just make sure you put it inside of Timmy. And that also made him very uncomfortable.
Sure, why wouldn't
we made it? we were getting a lot of mileage out of it, and we continue to.
Now, is this exclusively for commercial production? Would it work for films, TV shows?
Yeah, I mean, the focus has always been on the commercial side of things. We do have some clients that do episodic as well. And so that's working well. I mean, it all really comes down to, days versus weeks versus months. And so we're comfortable in mostly days and weeks. We really, for all of us in the commercial production world, we're lucky if we get 2 days, even though we need it. And we do have weeks because we support a lot of post efforts. But we really haven't focused in on the feature side of things, where we start to think about things in regards to months. We've also had some discussions with some folks in the gaming development side of things as well. And again, that starts to look at things like months as opposed to, weeks or days.
Now, I have a small creative boutique production company.
Yeah.
Do I need all these? Should I get Lil Timmy? Will Lil Timmy or Timmy Light be a product that's maybe the subscription's a little lower? I'm doing a project or two a month with...
Yeah, we do have a what we call Timmy Pro.
You can pass on any question or say, Jordan, that sucks, edit that shit out. Like,
okay.
If anything I say, just say, no, pass. Right.
All good. Yeah, pass. Yeah. I always love that. No, I mean, we do have what we call Timmy Pro. We haven't really launched it with anyone yet, and we're acquiring another company that is a bit of a Timmy Light version of what it is that we do. And it's like, there's certain things that smaller boutique shops won't necessarily need, and so it's a scaled down version of what we've done, and kind of the what we call Timmy Studio, or the enterprise version of our solution, where it's a bit of a bigger shop, somewhere between 10 to 80 users in the system, that are a little bit bigger, that are going to require a little bit more. So it is something that we have in the works. It's not something we've actually launched quite yet. I mean, there's a few other solutions that are out there that kind of provide that functionality, whether it's like, the way people normally do it now, which is they've got a drive and they're using hot budget or saturation or showbiz, or whatever it is on the live action side. And then, a lot of people have built templates for themselves over the years to be able to manage the post side of things. But our concern there and what we find is 94% of sheets that are out there in the world have some type of error in them. And we find it all the time, because essentially when we're launching Timmy inside of a new client, we'll typically get a job that is either wrapped or in process, and then recreate it so that it's contextualized within the Timmy environment. And sometimes those numbers don't match. And then ultimately we find, oh, by the way, you haven't been adding markup to this line item for the past 5 years. And that's happened to me as a producer, as a production company owner, that I find it is.
I mean, money on the table, baby.
Theoretically, yes, absolutely. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I saw Compadre had a wonderful testimonial, and I've done some work with them. They're such nice people. And projects, they handle them soup to nuts.
Yep. Yeah.
And so Timmy seems perfect for bridging the gap from production to post.
Yes. Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think, that's absolutely crucial, right? Like and if you even want to swim up, further upstream, we do have, you can build out agency-based services. You can basically build out any service that you want essentially within it. And we do have a couple different agencies that are in there. So you could
with
kind
their
of go
in-house.
from,
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to understand. It's an agency's in-house production unit.
In some cases, yes.
I would assume some of the people, this is just broad speculation on my part, conjecture, is that they don't know any better. This makes all the sense in the world. This is everything in one. It's streamlined.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up on hot budget, with, Joe Pickey throwing things at people. Like, that whole era was different. I don't remember that era, old man.
Right. Is Joe still alive? Has anybody checked on Joe?
I have not, but that reference comes up disproportionately to the relevance of the story.
Yeah.
It's funny. Like, for people, I look at them like, you're 28. How do you even know that story? You're lying.
Yeah.
You weren't there on set.
Yeah.
He didn't hit you with a basketball.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I think, we've got a great mix, and I mean, we really focus in on all the verticals, I would say, within commercial advertising, whether that's an audio house or an editorial shop or a design and animation studio or a production company, a live action production company. And then, you have other companies out there that are these studios that are, you're finding, as the WPPs and the Omnicoms consolidate things, that the client direct work is increasing, and the amount of agency work that's coming into those places is considerably less. And so what we find there are companies or studios out there that provide agency-based services. So all the way from strategy and account management to creative development, writing, art direction. So everything that you would find inside of an agency, you're finding inside of various studios. These like really wonderful studios that are out there doing basically, like you said, soup to nuts.
So that I would fall under that category sometimes.
Yeah.
So I misunderstood. I was too literal with the production aspect being in-house in an agency. What you're implying, if I'm picking up what you're throwing down, PJ, is I can now work in a creative fee.
Yeah. Yes.
Whereas it would be lumped in director and there's no charge. And then my wife says, why don't you charge? You wrote the spot.
Right.
Now there's a place for that, and I can track that. Or various Zooms with the client to whatever. So do I build that once I'm a Timmy client? Do I add that on?
Yeah.
Or do
absolutely.
I call you and go, hey, I got this job, and you scale it up? Or is it kind of like little click buttons that I add to my budget?
To your budget. I mean, it really is in your budget. And Timmy holds, the heart of it is your rate card, which is a list of all of your line items that are typically in your budget, or what you might call your services. So, you could have a whole section of your bid or your estimate that is creative services, and you line those things out as to the time that you're going to take to do those things, and then you charge the client for them. What we like about it, as a production company, is it has a different fee structure to it, which gives it a different margin. There's some fatter margins that are there. We get kind of squeezed pretty hard on the production side, especially on the live action side, right? Like, we're all held to a 20% production fee, and maybe with some underages, we can get somewhere around 28 or whatever, but it's somewhere between 0 and maybe 28, or maybe, I'm trying to think of what the highest margin I've ever seen is, maybe 30 something, on a project, but on a live action project. But and then we see that post tends to run around kind of a 50% margin, and I'm talking in gross numbers. I'm not.
Is that 5-0 or 1-5?
5-0. Wow, 50%. Yeah,
that's hardy.
Yeah. And then agency fees can be, as good as post production, 50% or more. I mean, some agencies are charging, 2 times rate for, what it is, the services that they're providing. So, it's everybody's looking for nickels in what I call this river of nickels of commercial business, and trying to stack them on top of each other. So
you're in the stream of silver dollars over there.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but yeah, it's all. I'm just trying to figure out a way that we can really understand a project and what it's going to cost us versus what I can convince the client they should pay for that, and the variance between those two things is the place that I'm going to make money, and so to really understand and forecast what it takes for you to do whatever effort it is that they're asking you to do is one kind of note, and then really thinking about taking that and putting it into a place from an estimate or bid form to understand what can you get out of the client, what other fees can you get out of that client, and I don't want it to sound like, oh, we're trying to figure out how to gouge clients, because that's or agencies.
But the information, if you're armed with information, you can have a more intelligent conversation and say, look, I'm not bullshitting you. We running the numbers, we're going to spend X amount of time and this much person power to deliver. It's going to cost this. I mean, I just went through it with on a project where, and this is unfortunately not a single incident where, well, can you just pay the talent? Well, sure we can, and then we're going to mark it up. We would actually, here's the number. You'll save this many thousands by not having us pay it.
Right.
And it's assumed we're going to mark it up, like that's business. Right?
You're providing a service.
And we're happy to do it. But if you're belly aching, that you ain't got the nickels, here's some nickels back.
Right.
So that's just one easy example, but you're saying globally throughout the project, using the production OS, trying to play along, PJ.
Yeah, you're
trying to use the term. I'm trying to learn.
Thank you.
Using, Timmy, the production OS, you'll know where a lot of these nickels lay throughout the whole process, and then you can have a conversation, which leads me to ask, do you find, since Timmy, because I'm sure the answer is yes, pre-Timmy, that you have conversations with cost consultants?
Sure, yeah.
Who then challenge, and does this give you better ammunition when talking to them?
I don't know if it gives me better ammunition. I know that they don't love talking to me. I know, and I understand where they're coming from. I just think sometimes they don't really understand the landscape of what it costs for a particular crew member or an artist, whatever it is, and it's interesting. I'm like, how do I say this where I don't offend everybody? We what we found is like, cost consultants have a list that they're tracking to whatever degree to understand what they think rates are, and
from 2004.
Wherever they're coming from, and so we get those, and those aren't aligned with what we pay people, and so that's where we struggle, and that's where we kind of argue. My hope is, from a Timmy standpoint, is we have enough users in the system that we will actually have that data, and we will be able to say, this is what we paid crew, this is what a gaffer costs, this is what a PA costs, these are real costs. And so
out of LA, the prices are sometimes higher.
Right.
If demand is there. Like, people think, well, go to Austin, it's really cheap. Right. Well, guess what? They're making 7 movies and 14 commercials and a bunch of social stuff. Actually, people are demanding $50 more an hour or whatever, or a day. Yeah. Not an hour. No. That would be crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, and unfortunately, I think the agency's clients are part of the problem, and in the sense of they've hired some of the crew and some of the artists to work for them internally, and they've paid them, huge rates to have them there with them, on site, like whatever X whatever .com company is paying an editor $1,000, $1,200 a day, which is great, but then that's what's expected now. And that's what they expect to get out in the world. But then I'm now doing a job for that .com company, and I'm telling them it's $1,200 a day, and they're like, "That's too expensive." And I'm like, "Well, you actually created the problem.
Yeah,
it's actually your fault. So this is now the market value for that particular artist."
This episode is brought to you by a new sponsor, Posh Duo, the original 2-in-1 hair and beard styling stick. I use it. It's made for filmmakers. Handcrafted with beeswax, tea tree oil, a fresh hint of citrus, and a single Viking tear. Listeners of this show respect the process, get free shipping, and it comes in discreet packaging. There's a link in the show notes. Get the posh look.
I mean, that's what I'm seeing, at least in the Bay Area, as far as the ecosystem that's kind of been created by Mountain View and those folks that pay a lot of money, which is great. I'm happy to pay people the money. You know what I mean? Again, I think if I back up, I'm happy to pay everybody the amount of money if I can get that money from the client and I can have a margin. And my whole goal is like, how do I make sure I'm here tomorrow? It's that simple. I'm not looking to buy 5 Ferraris. I'm just looking to keep people employed and, hopefully doing the work that they want and growing as artists and have enough margin that I can pay everybody and pay my bills and we can do it again tomorrow. Because the whole goal is to be on set, to be together, to connect,
to make stuff and have fun.
Yeah.
Plus, where are you going to park? Especially, I know you don't live there, but you're in Ojai. Where are you going to park 3 Ferraris and not look like an asshole?
Exactly.
So you don't want that.
Exactly. Totally.
I think it's great. I had one more question about Timmy, because I poked around, but I haven't dived in with a budget or anything, right?
Right.
Is there 2 questions? Is there a discount for listeners of this show? Again, you can pass on any question.
Sure.
So we can make up a code and I can put it in?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Call it 10%. Absolutely. Happy to do it.
10% off? Is it? Yeah. I'll just put like RTP, respect the process, or some sort of code.
There you go. Perfect.
Okay, and I'll follow up with your people and we'll make that happen.
Yeah,
Thank
absolutely.
you.
Happy to.
On behalf of the listeners. And then 2, speaking of like archaic methods, Jordan, can you go to the bank and get $7,000 petty cash?
Right. Yeah, right, yeah.
Do you have the petty cash debit feature in Timmy?
We do not have a cash. We don't have a debit cash function of it. We're working on an integration with, I guess I'll just say it, Ramp in particular, and the ability to create, virtual cards within Timmy, which is essentially, I'm in a project. I'm a producer. I need a virtual credit card. I request it inside of Timmy. That goes to accounting. They approve it, and then they're issued a virtual credit card. And then as they charge that credit card for that particular project, all of the expenses associated with that go into Timmy. So then it's actualizing your expenses in real time.
In real time. Mm-hmm. It may even send a I think Ramp does this. Sends a text to the person going, "Hey, scan that receipt."
Yeah.
But Ramp doesn't do it as nice as Timmy could. Timmy could have a little avatar pop up and wink at him.
Exactly. Right? And it'll look just like Tim. Yeah, exactly.
It'll look like Tim.
Exactly.
I think that's a good one because like our workaround for a minute was just Zelle the person the money and they Zelle back. But that's a little wonky. Yeah. And there's still human input of receipts and stuff like that.
Right.
The Ramp was the one. I just got paid by an agency, paid for the job through Ramp.
Is that right? Yeah. Sure. Why not? Yeah. I mean, we have a bunch of integrations. It's great. Yeah.
So that's coming.
Yeah. That's on its way.
I would also accept Starbucks gift cards.
Yeah. We haven't done that one. We'll think about that one. Yeah.
So Timmy or not, given your experience in the business, what do you think, I teach filmmakers how to commercial directors. And you can learn more, PJ, at commercialdirectingfilmschool.com.
Okay,
And
great.
I'm supposed to get that in within 30 minutes. I'm a little late, but
Okay.
I had an existential crisis, not a crisis, but a little concern. Last December, I was going to do a workshop, and I had to go, can you really make a living as a commercial director? I mean, I do. A lot of my guests do. My friends do. But if I were starting in 2026, is that, like, I have to believe that if I'm going to teach people.
Right.
My answer was yes, because if I can talk you out of it, you weren't going to succeed in the first place. And I believe that whether it's the democratization of the tools the last 15 years, whether it's AI or old school, or go out and shoot with your phone, or, just tell a great story, God damn it. So I mean, it was a real thing. I wasn't just talking myself into it. It was, what is the sort of state of the union?
Mm-hmm.
And I see a lot of cool stuff being made.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that? And it not just limited to directing, but being a producer,
right,
a designer, an editor, executive producer in commercials specifically.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're in an interesting time. I mean, I think we've had some moments, right, in the early aughts got very interesting where we were very, very productive and things were happening. And I think over COVID, we saw a lot of post-production-y kind of things kind of blow up. And, and that was super busy and great and amazing. And, every year is its own challenge, right? Like, and we used to have a cadence. Remember, a long time ago, we were like, oh, okay, great. We're going to be busy in January, February, and then summer's going to be kind of slow, and then suddenly we're going to come back, and then the fourth quarter, we're going to make all of our money. Like, that's where we, it's like you made half your money in the first half of the year, or the first 3 quarters of the year, and then last quarter, you made the same amount in that time frame. So I don't think we're at that cadence anymore, which is interesting. I think there's a ton of work that's out there to do. I think, unfortunately, I think a lot of people are getting kind of flushed out of the business, which is going to be interesting to kind of see what happens with that. Like, as everybody becomes a life coach or a psychologist instead of this business, we'll kind of see what comes of that. I don't think there's ever going to be a lack of need for content. I don't think that AI is going to solve, a comedy dialogue spot. It's definitely not going to survive a, branded doc piece of content. Right. I think it's a wonderful tool, and we're all leaning into it and figuring out how we kind of fold it into our processes. But yeah, I think if you're a talented director, and I mean, that's not easy either. I mean, you have to have talent at this. I mean, it's a craft. You can get better at it, but then there are those that are they are really good at this. And there are those that are not very good, very good at this, and somehow still kind of are able to do this and make money at it. But, there's a lot of different places that this content's going to be. And I mean, as you look at the streaming services, and as they decide, hey, guess what, we've disrupted this whole situation, but you know what, it would be great to get some ad revenue as well. So they're going to be offering up different tiers of service that have ads in them, and those ads are going to be they're going to be
somebody's going to make them.
Somebody's going to make them. So,
do you think when you mentioned the WPPs and the consolidation of holding companies and the rise of the independent agencies doing, I think, really creative work that I'm envious of.
Totally. Yeah.
Does that trickle down to production, or is it? I know it does, but how does it? Because as a commercial director, I don't really care if it's, I mean, yes, Mischief would be great, or High Dive, right? Big agencies.
Right. Yeah.
But if it's a WPP owned company that has Clorox, I don't really care. right? I care about the script and the budget.
Right. Sorry, the question then is, what do
what do you think? Does that really have an effect on production, where the boards and the money is coming from?
Yeah.
Like if you and I are on LinkedIn, we're going to have agency folks that are opinionated about this. And then you and I in production could be like, well, we shoot for everyone. We're sort of agnostic when it comes to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I think the market consolidation is interesting, and the small agencies that are growing out of it it is whatever that cyclical nature is of this business. I don't think I quite understand what the cadence of it is quite yet. Is it like, every 5 years we kind of like we consolidate everything and a bunch of people get squeezed out and they go create their own things and then they get gobbled back up by the holding companies and then we start all over again. So it's like, it's like the Matrix or whatever. We keep the same thing over and over again.
VML has had 7 different names in 10 years.
Right. I think it's great. I mean, I think, those folks that are born out of those larger places that start their own things, tend to want to stay with the production companies that they work with, whether that's like a Biscuit or a Tool or Caviar or, MJZ. And that's all great and good. And those folks are doing everything they can. I think what has been interesting with them is, those cats used to be like, we're $350 a day. And that's what it costs for you to shoot in LA. They saw, their budgets started coming down. And so they started creeping into, the what I refer to as the medium talents. And I'm like,
sure, the middle class.
Yeah, get out of here. And so they're squeezing us down on that side of things a little bit. I'm like, get out of here. You guys are $350 a day. You got to stay in your zone a little bit, but they don't. And that's okay. And so there's a bit of a squeeze on that side for those boards that we used to have where we're like, yeah, we can do a 180 a day. We can do a 150 a day or a 250 a day and kind of have a little bit of a livelihood in that zone. I think those boards are still going out there. I think all those companies that are having to try to survive, while it kind of gets sorted out. I mean, it's the waters have been a bit muddied in this and the way that they're spending money or the budgets that they have. So it's interesting.
Let me ask you thank you for your opinions and candid answers.
You bet.
Here's one to bring it back to Timmy.
Yeah.
And you can learn more at timmy.io. Listeners of this show save 10% with a code in the show notes. I don't know how many people do the codes, honestly, but I like to offer something, and your time is valuable, so hopefully it'll help people. Sometimes, and I'm going to say it's not a green producer, but an agency producer will say something to the effect of, we'd love to, like, what if you bid at LA? We know we don't have the money to shoot in LA, but just like, what is the number?
Right.
And then wherever you think, like, where does Jordan want to shoot, to make the budget? Well, Jordan lives in LA and he would love to ride his unicycle to the set. So
yeah, of course.
I would love it to be in LA.
And go home. Yeah.
And go home.
Yeah.
But if I have to, bag check my unicycle and go to Kansas City or Mexico, whatever, fine.
Right.
Because we can get more bang for the buck.
Right.
If I'm on the call and my EP will roll her eyes like, well, we don't need the practice to bid for something that's not a reality.
Right.
But if we were on Timmy, we could probably just click on a map. I'm assuming there is no map. But that's next version. There's a map.
Okay, yes. I like it.
These are free.
I'm gathering requirements. I'm gathering requirements now. Yes.
These are free ideas. I click on a map and a production city comes up and it populates some of the rates in that city from the database. And it gives me apples to apples in a very Timmy-like fashion.
Yeah, I mean, not a feature that we have now. I mean, I think you can have as many versions of whatever estimate that you want within inside of Timmy, but you're still going to have to do call the production service company in Mexico City and the one in, wherever else in Croatia you maybe are going to shoot, or Vancouver, or
Portugal,
LA, or Portugal, right?
Very
Atlanta,
aggressive.
South Africa, right? Like a lot of those cats that are down there, and so I think with Timmy, to a certain degree, there's not like an overarching database that everybody has access to. It's a what we call a Docker system. It's your walled garden. The data that you have in there is your data. Nobody else has access to that data. So your ability to collect that data and then access that data is kind of up to you. But again, you do have access to it. You do have structured data. You do have the ability to kind of dive in there and see, for the past 6 years, what have my productions been, and what have they looked like, and what were the costs associated with those, or what were those estimates, and what were the rates for those things. While it's not a feature now, it is definitely possible, at some point, to kind of figure out like, hey, and we've done some brief little AI prototypes that we're working on, which is, via text prompt, to be like, put the brief in there, and then Timmy creates the project for you and associates it with all the various characters that you've suggested need to be inside of it, and gives you essentially a projection or a forecast of what your cost is going to be. And
I believe that day will come. I'm smiling, and the listeners know that I'm chuckling even, because there are treatment programs that do that.
Yeah.
And they listen to the recording, and you put up your past treatments, it'll write it for you. And I tried, but it was more work correcting the aberrations,
right,
and the creative commentary that the AI put in. Right. Why do I need it? There was no kangaroo mentioned whatsoever.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's not getting smarter.
It could also be like friends of Timmy, or Timmy friends with benefits, where clients share data. Yeah. If they want to maybe anonymously or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a future where we do want to have everybody kind of, like I was saying before, kind of opt into kind of a consolidated report to say, line by line, that this is kind of what we saw out there in the world, and kind of bring that back as a significant sample size to really have a sense about what our market looks like. I know there's 4A's has something that they produce that's kind of interesting. Obviously, the cost consultants have whatever they're using from 2004.
Right.
And, I think there's an opportunity to really kind of figure out, to educate ourselves, because we do tend to be on our back foot a little bit.
Hi, it's me, Jake, the editor. You probably know Commercial Directing Film School offers in-person boot camps and online courses. But did you know my dad does one-on-one consultations? Yeah, he does. So, now you know, okay? Anyway, now back to this enthralling interview.
We do always get those calls of like, hey, we got to be scrappy with this one. And whatever those terms are. Let's get creative with this one, right, guys?
Yeah,
like, this is great.
Up-and-comer.
Yeah, right?
A scrappy up-and-comer. Guess what? If I present as a production company the scrappy up-and-comer, I have to actually do more work to make sure that scrappy person doesn't fuck it up.
Right. Totally.
You should ask for the old timer in the hammock.
Right. I mean, no matter what, it's more work, right? Like, we're like, okay, we pulled all these line items out. Somebody has to do that work at some point.
Yeah.
And
it's a production.
You know what I mean? It's a production. It's like, I had to shave my art department down. Or you're not going to get as many looks as you wanted to have. So, I'm sorry, I've only got the 1-2 vases for you to look at. I didn't have time to shop for 40 different vases for this table scene or whatever it is, you know?
It happens with wardrobe,
Right.
PJ, with like,
Right.
well, that would really be another day.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't think anyone's like, it's such a good story. No one's tracking that.
Yeah. Right.
Like it's not real life.
Yeah. Right.
It's actually more confusing to change their outfit in the middle of the 30-second spot 4 times than to be true to life that it's a different day when you called customer service and they arrived to fix your sink.
Right.
Like, it's just like I can logic your logic with my illogical answer.
Right.
We're coming down the home stretch, and I appreciate your time and talking here. We didn't do the origin story of PJ.
Boy.
And normally I would start and dive in, like, how'd you get started? What'd you do? Where'd you go? What do you like doing? But I wanted people to get the Timmy from the get-go, right?
Right.
How did you get started in commercials, and was it always your passion, or were you were out at sea as a merchant marine? What happened?
Well, I mean, I guess I've been at this for almost 30 years, which is kind of slightly terrifying. I actually went to ad school, and this is prior to a portfolio school like a Ringling Brothers or Creative Circus or any of those things. So they didn't exist. Like, the big ad schools were like Syracuse, UT.
Yeah.
Who else was out there?
Which one did you go to?
I went to a really small college in Pensacola, Florida, called the University of West Florida. But the amazing part was we had a wonderful professor, a couple of wonderful professors that were got us to be part of the 4A's competition, the student competition. And so we would just destroy people. Like, we would show up and just destroy Syracuse or UT and just win the whole thing, which was like just like these like small little, rednecks from the beach.
Sure, Pensacola, Alabama with a tan, they call it.
That's right, yeah. Or we call it the other LA, Lower Alabama.
Yeah, Lower Alabama.
Exactly. And so I studied advertising there, and we did build out portfolios, but the main thrust of was the 4A's competition, in which we competed against everybody and won on that one in particular. It was a Red Cross campaign that we had put together, and just owned the whole thing, which was pretty rad. And then from there, I graduated and moved directly to San Francisco, and was like, and this is in 1994, 95. And I want to work at an ad agency. And of course, top of my list are Goodby Silverstein Partners, Black Rocket at the time, which that was born out of them. I interviewed at Liggis Delaney, Citron Halligman, Goldberg Mosier O'Neill. Like, there were all these like wonderful creative shops that were GMO. Yeah. And I think before whatever I don't know if they were still with Hill, or they were with Hill Holiday quite yet. And so I interviewed a ton. I thought I wanted to be an account planner, which is now called a strategist. But it was called account planning, and there was only one book about it called How to Plan Advertising. I can't remember who the author was of it, and you couldn't buy it. It was just like a educational book. So at one point I drove up to Auburn, the University of Auburn University, and photocopied the entire book, and then like brought it home with me, and was like, I think I want to be a planner. So I rolled around thinking I wanted to be a planner, and ultimately. I had done some other interviews, and it was, kind of the heat of .com 1.0. And so ultimately I wound up in a startup. And then I was a serial entrepreneur, and did a bunch of different startups. And the first one was this one called Spark Online that had
as a strategist / planner, or as a true entrepreneur, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the time. I'm going to... Right. This is mysparkle.com.
Right. Yeah, Spark was I guess I was a producer in that instance, and started producing, and basically we were making Rich Media banners back in the day. And so we were kind of working along the side of them, and name some other names that nobody knows, which is Modem Media and Anderson Lemke, which were two of the best kind of like online agencies at the time. And so we started that, and it pivoted, and then that ultimately became a software company. And so then I became a product manager and started writing specifications for software. So I kind of was just following this path of then developing software, and then.
But we're seeing seeds of Timmy at this early age.
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, we had built out a marketplace, basically the idea of buying online ad space before it perished, if you will. It was good, and we raised $10 million, and then we ran it directly into the ground. So it was
One
not
Ferrari.
Yeah. Right. And so it was a great experience. And then the next one was another software company that was called Web Accommodate, and basically that.
Are you okay?
We're all good, I think.
Okay.
Are you good? You go. Yeah. The second one was a Web Accommodate, and it was a marketplace for buying and selling, or I guess renting timeshares or fractional. So it was basically like Airbnb before Airbnb, which is kind of crazy. Yeah, which was dope. And then that one blew up, and I was like, I think I need to get out of technology for a while. I'm done. I'm tired. I can't live on the bleeding edge of technology any longer. I need to do something else. And the market was absolute shit. So it was, I guess, 2001. I was like, I'm going to go back and get my master's in film and television. And so I did that. And I went to.
You have kids, a partner at this time, or?
So not until 2005.
Just to go back to school. That's a big.
Yeah. It's a biggie. I hadn't had a kid yet, but it was on the way. So she's now 21. So she didn't arrive until 2005. But it happened part of the process. So she got to experience, the amount of times that I've pulled her into a color session where she's in a stroller, or we're in an audio session and she was in there. The amount of times I put her in spots, unfortunately. Poor kid.
That's great.
Yeah. So
you go back to film. You go to film school.
Yeah.
In San Francisco?
In San Francisco, it's called the Academy of Art. It's really kind of, I would suggest it's more of a trade school. It's not like NYU, which is a lot of theory or whatever, and or Berkeley Film School, which is totally different as well. I mean, and this is film days, so I'm shooting on the BL4 and the Arri 3, and, I'm loading film, and, it's a totally different deal. And so I do that, and I came out of there and I went to work for a visual effects design company called Radium. Which was a really great spot. They had a spot in LA and one in San Francisco as well. They did a lot of commercial work as well as some episodic television work as well, like a little Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And And
you were smitten. You were bitten by the bug of production.
I loved production. I was a little bit more of the live action side of things, editorial side of things. I think getting into the VFX side of things was a totally different thing at that time. Between the various products, it's not quite as evolved as it is now, whether that's from a compositing side of things or even working in, we're working in like RealFlow, and I'm having to create digital cameras, and it was very complex, but I enjoyed it and learned it, and I appreciated it all. But I was there for a year, and then I got a gig at Goodby Silverstein and Partners, and I was then there for 10 years running. Yeah.
As a what?
I ran their in-house production department there for 10 years. So when I started there was maybe 25 employees. And then, we landed Chevrolet, HP, Sprint. We had Comcast, Adobe, and we went to like 150 people. I had like 9 edit suites. I had 30 something animation stations.
Do I remember Goodby as being one of the first to have an in-house production
They've
company?
always had it. I think they've always had it in some level. I mean, that it's definitely a muscle that they like to flex with on the creative development side. And I think, then some of the work then flowed into it. We do like a lot of regional tagging and or all kinds of different things, which was kind of phenomenal. But the best part of working down there with those two guys was the creative development side. Like you and it is still my favorite thing is like, okay, you've gotten a brief, you are uninhibited by any of the things of delivery with regards to like, a 30-second spot or, within some sort of time period. You really are just like creatively living in that space and coming up with ideas and finding happy mistakes and weird things that happen or terrible ideas that you kind of find along the way that you're like, okay, get rid of that and kind of move on. So it was absolutely lovely to work on that kind of stuff with those guys.
And were you directly involved with Jeff and Rich, like the way they developed that culture? Because it seems the creativity is paramount. Everything's led by the creativity. Any interview, masterclass, or whatever I've watched, Jeff Goodby is saying like nowadays it's, shoot the whole spot with your phone, time it out.
Yeah.
Which from a director's side, I can't tell you how many 30-second scripts clock in at 42 seconds.
Right, totally. So right. This doesn't time.
But that's actually counter to, that example is counter to what I admired about what you said in that there is no stopwatch, there is no deliverable. It's just go be creative. Think of it. Right. Maybe it's an installation. Maybe it's an alien. Maybe it's a recipe. It could be anything, and it'll distill itself down to what the mission is eventually.
Right. Yeah,
that's a great way to lead.
It was great, and I mean, it was their playground, and they came down there every day. Or I went up to their office mostly, actually.
So fast forward to where the buffalo roam.
Yeah. So 10 years later, I spun out of there and started where the buffalo roam with my partner, Tim Priest. And we started at my house. And we just got to work. And we, picked up clients and started hustling and figuring out how to scale. And I mean, it was myself, Tim, an editor, an animator, and a coordinator. And that was it. Like we were just like, we went after it. And ultimately we wound up delivering a Super Bowl spot from there for Airbnb.
I'm looking at your site
2017.
Now.
Yeah.
I'm looking here. Our small army of cool as shit designers, black belt animators, and VFX shaman. Can't wait to turn your fierce ideas into something the whole world can see. So what I found interesting about where the Buffalo Roam site was, under talent, you obviously have a roster of directors that I can peruse.
Yes. And
then I have I click editors, and I go, okay, so they package a lot of this material. But the differentiator here was the artist.
Mm-hmm.
And how did you decide to include artists? Yeah. And I'm assuming they're sort of non-exclusive creative people that you pull from.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of both, right? Like, I mean, I think every company now, we've got to be like some form, and then we kind of expand as it's required. I wanted to include all the artists because what I didn't want is like, you're not coming here for something that's well produced. Hopefully, you're coming here because they're very talented artists that are doing the job for you. And for me, I pushed our artists to really be the ones who develop the relationships with clients, and I'm just creating an ecosystem that they can operate within. And if they decide to leave and go somewhere else, then hopefully those clients go along with them, that they own part of that. They own that relationship. Those directors own that relationship,
Wow. That's just, I want the listeners to hit that 15-second rewind button on their iPod And listen to that again, that you believe that the artist, the director, the editor, whoever, the shaman,
Yeah.
they are responsible for both cultivating the relationship with the clients, clients being actual brand people or agency creatives or whoever.
That's right.
And should they go on their happy way, you, PJ, feel that that's part of their career, that's part of their deal, that you made that relationship, you should continue with that.
Absolutely.
Because I believe the whole thing is about relationships, which leads to repeat business. And that's the only way to have a career. But in my storied career, I have met many an EP who have thought, well, no, you met them through us. I mean, I've even seen in contracts that I've had to redline.
Sure.
You can't work with that person for 2 years because you worked with them through us, which I say malarkey.
Yeah, I think that's a mistake to do. I think, and if you're doing your job well as somebody who's creating that environment, people don't leave.
They want to work with you. They want PJ to be on the team.
Exactly.
Leading the team. Oh, I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, that was worth pointing out because that is a question I get sometimes. Or a newer director will say, hey, I got a call from this agency, but when I first worked, I was freelance with this production company. Do I have to call them?
Right. No.
Like, no.
No. Definitely
no.
No. And I mean, I think even our director roster, it's non-exclusive. At the end of the day, I want everybody to work. How do we keep you busy? How do we make sure you make a living doing this job? And that's the way we kind of go about it.
I know Jordy Stevens. Jordy was a creative, and we did, I want to say some Burger King stuff in like the thousands.
Yeah, he was probably at, what do you call it? Miami, what is it? Crispin.
I think it was pre-Crispin even.
Maybe, yeah. I don't know where he was before that. I don't know.
And, of course, I know Marcus Ubungan.
Yeah.
Ubungan.
Yeah.
I follow his work.
He's super talented, lovely.
Ben. Giraffe.
We actually went to film school together. Marcus and I went to film school together. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I know.
Giraffe Sisters.
Yes.
I love their work. I follow them on Instagram. I did not make the connection until just now that they were with you.
Yeah. They are stone cold weirdos. I love them. I love their work. I think, commercially, it's a vibe. There's some planets that need to align there to get to that place. And so, I think hopefully, I'm always hopeful that the commercial business is going to evolve a little bit. There's a genre in which we live in, and as soon as you're outside of that, people start to get a little uncomfortable. And I don't know if that's such a bad thing. I think we should get a little uncomfortable. Otherwise, what are we doing? It's all the same noise.
Well, I don't want to be repetitive episode to episode, but the last several I complain about gratuitous camera moves that swoosh and POV from the oven and the bottle and the dog food bowl, just for the sake of doing it, becomes a ubiquitous style. When the first couple of people, you're like, wow, that's really cool. Or, we've seen, talk about cycles, the Wes Anderson influence has come and gone like 6 generations or every 3 or 4 years there's this resurgence. I see there's a big campaign out that's getting it's a darling with a squirrel, and I'm like, I've seen squirrels and people in bear suits become a thing.
Totally.
And it just happened.
Yeah.
Zombies had a moment there. Zombies are back.
Totally. Yeah, the camera moves, it's an interesting thing. I think we can thank eyecandy.com for that one. That's what they do, and everybody kind of leaned into it.
Every treatment.
Tropes.
I was just talking to a directing team about treatments and AI treatments and the GIFs and the GIFs and the movie clips. And if we're all pulling from the same eye candy and we're all putting the same swoosh, doesn't that negate itself?
Right.
And if it's on a website for me to plug and play,
Yeah.
is that good for a treatment? So
Right.
I'm clearly in the minority because I never get those jobs and I don't have that kind of work. And
Right.
I've made
Right.
peace with myself, PJ. But
Yeah. Good.
but I so there's two camps I see in commercials. There's repetitive flavor of the minute,
Right.
and then there's just groundbreaking shit.
Right. Right.
You know, that I love. Like
Right.
the Plorian brothers always delight me.
Mm-hmm.
And I always go, I don't do that, but I wish I could do it just to do that.
Right.
Like I don't even want to do it, but it's so good. I wish I had something that weird.
Right. Right.
And then there's, there's just every soda pop has the same,
mm-hmm. Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah. I think you just find that that's the comfort zone. I want that. I want one of those things, or that's the easy thing to sell in, to be like, I'm just going to deliver you this same thing that's always been done. And I think that's why I tend to like a tier 2, tier 3 client. That's like, okay, let's do something weird. Let's get weird about it. Let's do something wild. And then having something, or having, some little production that's flying under the radar where it doesn't have all the eyeballs on it, where somebody can be like, I don't understand what's happening.
That's some of the best work and the most fun.
It's the best work. It is the best work.
And you pointed out something that I want the listener to understand, that it's not that the agency creatives want to be derivative. They will often roll their eyes like, we tried for 4 months. And then they said, go with the guy in the bear suit, because their kids laughed at that spot 4 months ago. So now we're doing the bear suit. It was, some other crazy character. Mm-hmm. So, and I get that, they're in the business of selling. If they didn't sell the script, we wouldn't have the job to direct. So kudos. PJ, this has been a wonderful conversation. I feel like we could go on for hours. You're always welcome back with,
thank you.
If you want to promote Timmy Plus or Sally, the map feature,
the new map feature.
I think the map's going to be, you're going to chew on the map.
Yeah, totally.
That's a good one.
It is.
The map and the debit card.
That's right.
The show is called Respect the Process. It's right over my shoulder right there.
I see it, yes.
And this is how we end the show. When you hear that phrase, what does that mean to you? Respect the process. No wrong answers.
I mean, I think for me, or my hope for that is that, everybody in the process trusts that the folks that they've hired in the roles that they're in understand what it is that they're doing and how to get them to the finish line. And so I think, there's sometimes in production a lot of needless hand-wringing. I'm going to get myself in trouble on this thing. That, I think there needs to be a level of respect with the folks that you've hired to come in to solve your problem and to let them solve your problem. And then if you add more problems to the process, not necessarily making the thing that we're trying to make better. And so I think there's a lot of understanding and respecting that the folks that they've hired to do the job, they need to trust. And otherwise, why did you hire them? Yeah. The
show could have been called Trust the Process.
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been a better bumper sticker.
Maybe, right? Feels philosophical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. That's a great answer. When people click on your name, on the show notes, on Apple or Spotify, wherever people listen, should it take them to Timmy.io? Should it take them to Where the Buffalo Roam? Where your personal site?
Yeah. I don't think I have a personal site out there anymore. But no, I think Timmy.io. I mean, I'm pretty much 100% over at Timmy.io, and that's my main focus right now. And I still get to go over and play with the folks at Where the Buffalo Roam, or I make them make me a spot for Timmy or do something for me. So I'm still in it at an operational level, but not in the day-to-day. But Timmy.io is the place to go.
that's what we're going to do. Hey,
Okay,
man,
perfect.
thank you for your time this afternoon. It's been a joy to chat with you.
Yeah, you too.
And
yeah.
congrats on the Timmy.
Thank you, brother.
Wow, that was a fun interview. I learned a lot, not just about our guest, but about myself as well. I forgot to mention Kevin O'Brien, a terrific commercial director, has a new course called Master Virtual Production for Commercial Directors. I think that says it all. You can see it at commercialdirectingfilmschool.com. It's Kevin's course. It's virtual production, and the training focuses not on the technology, but on the principles of storytelling and how you can best use that tool. If you use the code VIRTUAL, you'll save $50. How about that? Thank you, Kevin, for this new course.
Commercial Directing Film School's mission is to help filmmakers direct commercials professionally. With online courses and in-person boot camps, we demystify the process to get you to the next level, all taught by your accessible mentor, filmmaker Jordan Brady.
True Gentleman Industries. We make commercials.